is John back for another episode of Opinionated TV. Oddly enough, with this episode, the very last episode that I had done this past weekend, I had said I was going to be switching up to a different format by where I kind of cover, a few stories from the past week and just kind of give my opinion on those rather than trying to focus on a single issue. And I had said that, I was still going to do a few of those if anything ever, came along that would inspire that, I needed an entire episode to cover a single topic. Well, sure enough, this week, something did happen that I feel like I have to do an entire episode on. Today is Wednesday. It is May the 9th of 2012, and last night on May 8th, the state in which I currently live in, North Carolina, effectively passed a gay marriage constitutional amendment that will ban it. This isn't the first state that's done something like this. They are now, I believe, the 30th state to have passed such legislation, and there are states that are on the exact opposite side of the spectrum on this issue. What I mainly want to talk about with it, because we can all sit here and argue all day about why we're against it or for it or all of that stuff, and that's fine. But what I kind of want to focus on is just, for one, my opinion on it, and two, coming at it from kind of a political spectrum. I actually, less than an hour before I started recording this, President Obama officially came out in an interview and stated that he has switched his opinion on this. He is, now going to say from his own perspective that he supports same-sex marriage, which is something that in the 2008 campaign he specifically said the opposite of, while currently being interviewed from, I forget that pastor's name of the super church out west, but and there were some people even then who were kind of wondering how he was going to answer it, because generally the Democratic Party offers way more support towards LGBT lifestyles. But while talking to ABC News, he said that, in the past few years, dealing with, gay staff members and talking more with his family, he's switched his position on it. Now, this is obviously it's going to be a double-edged sword on this one, because there's going to be, I don't think that he necessarily lost any gay support last time. I would imagine that, in the event that I was gay, I would probably vote more Democratic, just because they tend to get me more, they tend to support me more, and, that would matter to me a lot if I was in that situation. But I do believe it's going to hurt him, obviously, because there's some people who, even as a registered Democrat, are just not for gay marriage. And there's going to be quite a few independents who are the same way, and that's what the kind of perspective that I want to come from on this, because for voting purposes, I'm a registered independent, and the reason that I'm registered as such is because, I categorize a lot more towards the right than I do the left, but there's a few key issues that are really big pillars of being a Republican or a conservative that I just don't agree with. The biggest two of those would be pro-choice, which I am for. I agree with conservatives that no matter, even if you have the choice, you should pay for it. It's your choice. Pay the cost for it. I completely agree with that. I do not believe in funding, subsidizing any way, shape, or form for this. If insurance companies want to offer it, that's fine, but that's a whole other topic to deal with. But the other thing that I disagree a lot with is the general Republican stance on gay marriage. I have several gay friends. I have friends who have gay parents. They're people. I understand that to some people it may freak you out a little bit, just because you don't understand, you're not gay. But to sit there and deny gay people basic rights. I mean, in my opinion, personally, and I mean, I may be wrong. Like I said, I'm not gay, so I really don't know how much the actual title of saying we are married matters. But if you look at it from the basic benefits that come along with it, such as tax breaks, being able to be, permitted into certain places at hospitals, as a spouse. I just think that that's just cruel, to a certain extent. And for anyone who wants to start pulling out the slippery slope thing, that is completely ridiculous. We are talking about people, loving people, whether or not you agree with the fact that they're doing it, man to man, woman to woman. That's fine for you to have your opinion of, but to sit there and deny them something that any other man or woman who was born heterosexual can have, it seems really biased to me. And it really needs to change. I was actually very happy when Obama changed the "don't ask, don't tell" rule. I have two brothers in the military. I really don't. We've never really discussed it. It just didn't really seem like it was that big of a deal to them. They're all soldiers over there. That's the way I take it, and I don't see any reason for us to handle it in any other fashion. Um, but we'll see over the next few days how this plays out for Obama, because I have a feeling the right is really going to try to start eating his lunch for this one. And I mean, it's a complete turnaround. So I mean, if you want to call flip flop on anybody, I mean, there's a perfect example of him doing it. Um, but I think that when this process plays out, the Republicans have to be very careful. You know, like I said, the biggest reason why I'm not registered as a Republican, I could almost even overlook the pro-choice stance on it. Pro-choice is legal. I personally do not believe that if the Republicans had majorities, which they've had before, that they would go after Roe v. Wade. It hasn't happened. I don't see any reason to pretend that would be the case. So, I mean, to be honest, I could agree with them on that if they wanted to keep that as a tenet, and I would gladly be able to tell everyone, yes, I'm a Republican, but unlike most, I do support pro-choice. But when it comes to the issue of gay rights, we're not talking about anybody. That's the whole argument with pro-choice. So the Republican stance that life begins at conception. So that's murder. That we're subsidizing murder. We're killing innocent babies. That's once again a whole other topic off of this video. What this video wanted to focus on. But that's a conversation that can actually we can have. But to say that two people who aren't hurting anybody and who love each other, in many cases have adopted kids from kids who didn't have who were birthed by heterosexual parents, but don't have anyone there to take care of them or love them or anything like that. And you have tons of gay people out there who would love to be able to legitimately marry the partner that they've been with, longer than many heterosexual people have been with someone before getting married. And then they want to help, some kids out, raise a family, show them love. I know from the right's perspective that they would agree that the best, environment for a kid would be with a mother and a father. That's an opinion you can have. That's okay. But to sit there and say that it's either a mother and a father, or we'll just put them off into some glorified boarding house where there'll be one adult to 5 kids. No one will barely ever do anything with them other than make sure that they get bathed, they feed themselves, and that they do their homework. They're not going to get that family environment from an orphanage or anything on that scale. In my opinion, why not let them have loving parents regardless of what the relationship looks like or is or anything like that. And Republicans really, in my opinion, need to start thinking more about this. I am quite sure I'm not the only independent that's out here that feels this way, who feels that he or she would identify themselves as a Republican. but gay marriage, I just don't think, even if you take away the whole marriage thing, I believe Republicans should at least be able to come to the table with offering them the same rights as someone who is married, even if you want to call it something different. If you're just trying to protect that phrase, that term, call it something different. If you need to call it civil union or whatever, but the basic rights that come along with being married to someone, that should be universal to anyone who loves and is wanting to commit with another human. That just seems like common sense to me. And the Republicans, I'm sure several people know this, some may not, but there's a branch of Republicans that are called log cabin Republicans. They are gay Republicans. I can't even wrap my head around that, really, because these are registered Republicans who probably 80 to 90% of their like-minded people in that party don't want them to be able to get married, don't want them to have some of the basic rights for committing to another human being that all heterosexual couples enjoy. And these people still hang in with Republicans because they believe in the values that Republicans practice. They believe in the fiscal pragmatism that the Republican Party generally stands for. Although I agree with other people that the current state of the economy has been a bipartisan effort for sure. But I think the Republicans really need to start thinking about that. That really needs to be something that can alter in the near future. I don't know. I can't even say anything else about it. It just seems like such an obvious need and such an obvious conversation that the Republican Party needs to have a lot more of. So, I'm going to leave it on that. I appreciate everyone who's been coming by, looking at the videos, leaving comments or anything like that. I do still plan on putting another episode out this weekend, kind of in a low point on work at the moment. So I'm going to hopefully put another video out this weekend that's kind of a weekly recap. I doubt I'll cover this at all in it because, I obviously devoted a good bit of time on it today. So that's it. Look forward to the next episode of OTV. And until then, I am John. I'm opinionated. And we'll see you next time.